If I could, Dr. Dayan, there's two major contentions in Sri Lanka's politics at the moment, or there's always been. One is our structure of government and the separation of powers, and two is a national question. Could you tell your audience your thoughts on Sri Lanka's present contestation with the executive presidency? Now, Mr. Sajid Premadasa, the leader of the opposition, has mentioned the Madisonian model, 3 divisions of government. Also, he's more recently called for the abolishing of the executive presidency.
Yeah.
There is, I think, a narrative within Colombo that the executive presidency is the reason for all our wars at the moment. But as we see right now, the representative democracy itself has failed. So Parliament itself has failed. Gotabaya Rajapaksa was very clear in his speech. He mentions that we should either have an executive president, very powerful executive president with all the powers, or we should have a very powerful Westminster system with a very powerful Prime Minister. So it seems he's not very happy with having any checks and balances and having a split in this power center. So does that itself provide you with an answer on how we should best go ahead?
Yeah, I got to tell you this, Kusum. You know, I can now understand what a trained and credentialed medical specialist, I mean, like my friend Dr. Kamini Mendes and others, would have felt when the whole Dhammika Paniya thing was going on at the very beginning of COVID-19. So when I listen to this discourse, which envelops, the president, now Mahinda Rajapaksa, I'm told, says that, okay, you either got to abolish the whole presidency or, it's the same thing. And a new convert seems to be the leader of the opposition, Sajid Premadasa, who's moved from the American checks and balances, separation of powers model to abolition. Probably gone a little way back in his recent Ilakke interview. But when I listen to all of this, to me as a trained political scientist, it's like a specialist having to listen to the Dhammika Paniya being sort of hawked around as the answer to COVID-19. Look, it's really crazy. Nobody, not even say AOC or people who were rightly and bitterly opposed to Donald Trump ever wanted to abolish the American presidency. But if you want to say that, okay, Gotabaya is much worse and the Rajapaksas are worse and so on and so forth, then let's really take a deep dive to one of the most respected presidents in our lifetime, President Mujica of Uruguay. I mean, he's no longer president, but he was a leader of the Tupamaro urban guerrilla movement, and as a result of which he was kept for years at the bottom of a disused well. Actually, it was supposed to be a horse trough, and there's a movie about that. And of course, the Tupamaros were almost wiped out, but they came back, they made it back big in politics, and they won the presidential elections. But they never once said, let's abolish the executive presidency, because it's President Juan Bordaberry who put, and the military together, that put Mujica and kept him in solitary confinement at the bottom of a well. But in Sri Lanka, okay, now oligarchy, repression, dark dictatorial deeds. Now, hey guys, Suharto was a dark dictator. The Indonesians threw him out. They didn't abolish the presidential system. Marcos was a dictator. He had martial law, but of course he was originally elected. Cory Aquino, whose husband was shot dead while descending from a plane, never thought that, okay, we have to abolish the presidency. I mean, what's the connection? If the president is bad, is terrible, you throw the president out. Germany, you don't have a presidential system. You have a Reich Chancellor, sort of a strong prime minister. That was Hitler. So was Merkel. They didn't abolish the political system. So you reform the system if you have to. But you have a president who is elected directly by the people. All you have to do is strengthen the checks and balances. You bring Sri Lanka much more into line with the American and the French systems. Now, Gotabaya I can't believe the guy was actually a citizen of the United States, because he says a president must either have full powers or you must have the Westminster model. Does the president of the United States have full powers as per the 20th Amendment? I mean, where is he getting these things from? So it's a lie. Those are not the only two options. I don't see why the opposition is saying the same thing standing upside down, or Gota is standing upside, it's a mirror image. Yeah. There are only two options. There aren't only two options. There is no place, I mean, if you have a surfeit of powers in the presidency, there are changes that all these countries have made which strengthen the legislatures and various other institutions. Now, in Brazil, you have Bolsonaro, somebody like Gotabe, ex-soldier, right-wing, and so on. The Chilean left, the Brazilian left is looking to Lula's comeback in October. Now, Lula was in jail unfairly because the courts put him in jail and so on and so forth. Nobody is saying let's abolish the presidency. They are going to throw out Bolsonaro and they are going to bring back Lula as the president. So, it's not just the opposition, it's the left. I don't get these guys. The whole of Latin America. They are cheering on Gabriel Boric, the young 35-year-old left-wing president of Chile. We are looking to Colombia, maybe, and certainly Brazil in October. And as you know, I have the calendar in my head. And someday, I mean, I've had, Cuban diplomats tell me someday, when things will get solved with Cuba and the United States, it's when AOC becomes president of the United States. No progressive I know apart from this place, this country, so I'm not even sure they're progressives, want to abolish a directly elected, nationally elected presidential system, not just reform it structurally, but abolish it and replace it with a Westminster model. The Westminster model, as you know, Kusum, and as Edmund Burke was so proud of saying, evolved through tradition, the English tradition. The presidential system was the product of intense deliberation after the 1776 revolution. And Simon Bolivar, who tried to unite Latin America and threw out the Spanish, they also had a choice. And he decided to go with what the United States had done. Presidential system. Throughout Latin America, everybody has a presidential system except the Caribbean, which is Commonwealth. So, I mean, I'm totally opposed to this. I don't care who says it. I am for the 21st Amendment, and I'm totally opposed to the abolition. I have to say this too. If we totally throw out a political system in the middle of a deep and deepening economic crisis, we are committing suicide.